Picture this, it's 2016, you hear that a new anime will air in April that year, featuring 30 characters who travel on a shady bus tour to a lost village. Now you probably think, whoa, this is gonna be a great horror anime. I mean, with so many characters, they have to kill off some of them. No way they can all make it to the end. And the category comes in, it's a mystery drama horror show. But what if I told you that this single anime has been stuck on my mind for the past 5 years because it's an absolute train wreck where all the characters are insane. Now I mean there was quite a decent amount of hype for Mayoiga the Lost Village, where it was to be directed by the person behind Shirobaka, and my favorite, Prison School, and the writer being Mari Okada, who, let's just say, has quite a history with anime people either really loving or hating what she's written. But she's written a lot. So there was a lot of hype on the show being good. And the fact that it was mystery horror, well, people had their theories. Every character is dead. This person is the mastermind. Who is gonna die first? Because announcing 30 characters is quite a bold statement. They have to die so that the others can get development, right? And the fact that this was an anime original meant that not a single person knew how it was gonna turn out. And even more surprising was that it got crowdfunded in Japan, where backers could pay $3,500 USD to get a mystery bus tour with the cast and staff members, and this hit the 30,000 goal in 1 week with 50 days to go. There were a lot of people hyped for this horror anime, and it was airing in the season with My Hero Academia Season 1, ReZero Season 1, JoJo Part 4, and the Ace Attorney anime.
Okay, I'm gonna go smoke a fat blunt.
Now, having said that, if you check the ratings of the show now, well, gee, 5 out of 10, that's a bit worrying. And I agree, because this show is a masterpiece and a train wreck all rolled into one. As the best part of the anime was actually discussing it weekly with other people online. As around this time, I would watch a bunch of newly airing shows, and the anime subreddit would have episodic discussions on each show for every episode. It was quite a nice feeling, especially when people around you don't really watch these shows, especially obscure ones, and people would want to jump on the bandwagon of whatever was hyped that season, and this was one of them. And The Lost Village in particular is a special case, as I warn you now, you are not prepared for the roller coaster of a ride Mayoiga took me and the internet in spring of 2016. So episode 1 starts fairly normally. You see this ginormous cast on the bus tour, as each person has a reason to leave their lives behind and join this group where they want to live out the remainder of their lives in Nanaki Village, a place away from society, rumored on the web as a place to escape life's worries, as many other people have already done so. And the anime then begins to go through every single character, giving them at least one line of dialogue. Trust me, you will not remember half of them, except for Soy Latte. Okay, so it's their usernames, not their real names, and I guess I should go through them. Well, you have Mitsume the MC, Hayato his best bro friend, Masaki is an odd girl, he's the organizer, he eats, he thinks he's a superhero, his name is Jack, he's an army buff, she's an army buff, her name is a lion, she's a big detective, she's Reddit's favorite, a tsundere, a husband-wife. Are they making out on the bus? You got glasses, beanie, wants to find a Romeo, soy latte, fedora, angry man, wanko. Rapper, some dude, another dude, glasses lady, and a few others I barely remember. Gee, that just kept going and going, huh? Seriously, 30 characters is too much for an anime. Yes, half of them have to be gone by episode 3. How can you remember them all? Then you have the driver whose name is literally Driver, as he chastises them for doing this stupid trip, like pretending they died, running away from home. You're all young, this is all so irresponsible. The MC then closes his eyes as an out-of-body experience, sees himself in a hospital, suddenly holds a basketball that explodes, and he wakes up. What? We haven't even got started. Well, angry dude is angry at the driver ruining the mood and attacks him, which prompts the driver to suddenly go into a rage and try to kill them all. That sure went to 100, but not 100 kilometers per hour because he stops as Masaki throws up on him. Nice. So they stop and meet another character, Koharun, who is like best buddies with the organizer and can tell them where the village is. Also, Masaki says she really likes the MC's name and he starts crying. The MC is a special kind of character, as you will see. So I mean, they haven't reached the village yet, but there was still an underlying creepy tone to it all, and people were excited, thinking it's like the TV show Lost, maybe a battle royale where all the characters have to kill each other. Maybe they all died when the bus driver went nuts. Maybe the village is like Silent Hill. They also laughed at the premise because honestly, it just feels like they put all of Reddit on a bus, with how absurd some of these characters are. People then analyzed the posters. Wow, this one only has 6 characters. The final surviving 6th year, and there was one person who made a table of all the characters, hoping to update it as we go along whether a character lived or died. Don't forget about them, okay? Also, they all sing a hippopotamus song in the episode. Just another thing to not remember, okay? So they force the driver to keep going, but the bus slides down a cliff, getting stuck. This annoys the driver, so they give him all their money since they don't need it anymore in their new society, and they walk to the village. Well, the bus driver sure seems happy. I mean, it's living up to the horror tag. Now the group wander the forest and see a bare footprint, and all the while the MC is like, "Wowzers, I've never talked to a girl before." Like, I can't explain how annoying this MC is around girls, like openly telling her she smells nice. The group find the village though, and... Geez, that's a lot of characters. Well, they find the village is abandoned, and searching around, the rapper Yotsun grabs Masaki to assault her away from the group, and the bus driver out of nowhere returns. Guess he's not gonna say what he saw before? And you see Reddit's favorite character show her true colors. Jeez. Interesting. And the episode ends with them realizing Yotsun and Masaki are missing. Well, people still have to really hate on the main character, how he doesn't act like a normal person. A lot of people suspect the bus driver is not the actual real bus driver. And of course they really started to love upon the execution girl. Like really like her. But that's been fairly tame, to be fair. You know, normal anime stuff. But nothing will prepare you from episode 3 onwards. So everyone tries to find the missing two, but instead see giant claws on the tree, hear crazy noises, and see whatever the hell this is. As they run away, the MC finds the bruised Masaki, and the group interrogate her on what happened, but whether it's shock or we don't know, she doesn't respond. All we see is that Yotsun walked up after seeing something. This isn't enough for Love Pon. Seriously, chill. But as things calm down, they organize sleeping arrangements, and in one room, eye patch dude, whose name sorta sounds like Jack in Japanese, gets angry this dude has a name called Jack and yells at him. Jack, however, doesn't say a word, walks outside, picks up a hoe and tries to kill him. Totally normal reaction. So they tie Jack up, and Tsundere says she knew him from school, how he stabbed someone and was sent to juvie. People then wonder what they should do about him. But the MC defends Jack because he's turning out to be the biggest white knight around. So instead, they throw Jack into this jail cell they find, and meanwhile Angry Dude talks to Koharun, that girl you think is in love with the organizer. Keep that in mind for later. Then at night, MC finds Tsundere and Love Pon and says he wants to visit Jack. Love Pon, however, has other ideas, and gets angry they don't listen to her reasonable explanations, and tackles him off the bridge and tries to choke him to death, but the MC, seeing her wet clothes, gets the power to throw her off before turning around and seeing Yotsun's body float by. What? It gets even better, people. But man, Reddit really loved this episode, especially Love Pon. I mean, they even made a subreddit for her, gone now for obvious reasons. Also, rest in peace, Yotsun, finally the first death. And that means everyone was happy because the killings can finally begin. But everyone agrees, man, these characters, they just don't act normally. The MC is getting more and more annoying as this goes on. But in the end, the show is just so bad, we can't help but keep watching. So the body, where is it? Well, it floated downstream and another bear growl makes them run back. Now the glasses dude decides to head back home with the majority of the group as they are sick and tired of all this. The MC's best bro is like, come on dude, let's go. Leave that masky girl who you've fallen in love with. You don't know her, trust me. Let's leave. But the MC has gone truly full simp and won't leave her even though she barely acknowledges him. Well, the bus driver gives the glasses dude the keys as he stays. They, however, can't get the bus unstuck, so try and go back to the village but get lost. Then iPad somehow sees Jack, who got out of his jail cell, and runs away, tumbling over a ledge. So, dead? The rest find train tracks to a tunnel, and inside the Tsundere sees a giant Mitsume, the main character. What? Meanwhile, the driver wanders off and sees a girl, and it turns out to be his long-dead daughter's ghost. Well, this episode, people start to get really fed up with the MC, simping over a girl he barely knows, ditched his bro who cares for him. They also still really like Love Pon. They found the ghost girl unexpected. I mean, it's definitely a horror trope. People start to dissect the bear growl. More theories, it's all hallucinations, they're all dead. It's an abandoned village with a gas leak. But despite how unlikable the characters are and continue to be, people still can't stop watching and predicting where things will go. Oh yeah, and wanting more deaths too. So the MC returns to the village. Frankly, I feel the same. The kid literally chokes on candy seeing a girl. And for legit 2 minutes straight, they sit around trying to remember the name of the eye patch dude who's gone missing. I'm not kidding, this suddenly seems to be important to the story. They also mention how the bear sound actually sounds different to everyone. One a seal, one hears laughter. They then discuss how there could be a mastermind behind all this. While Lion suddenly screams, pointing at the MC, thinking he's a ghost, saying she sees dead people, then saying to the MC alone that she was joking. Do you see how these characters just don't act normally? Wowzers, I talked to so many girls today, gosh golly. Then Glasses gathers the army people and Execution Girl to interrogate the MC since they think he's very suspicious and Loveborn literally is about to pull his nails off. But a fire appears, started by Masaki, who frees the MC, and running away, she's about to tell him a secret, but suddenly... That's a giant penguin with a realistic human eye. Oh boy. So the comments question Glasses guy who was like, I don't trust anyone. Okay, now who wants to join me? And like, you legit have a murderous loving person here and you work with her to attack the most harmless main character in existence. Just give him a candy and he'll choke to death. But also, man, this show is so addicting, I can't stop watching. And I agree. It sort of falls into that reality show category where these people clearly don't act normally. You can't help but watch the mayhem they cause. And also, I guess at Reddit moments, people suddenly turned on Loveborn for one episode. I guess the fingernail torture was just a bit too much for people. So the gang that tied up the MC chase him into the forest but gets separated as they are then forced to face their backstories. As it seems the monster is only relevant to them. She sees bees, she has a spirit, he has a train, and he has a...
I think I'm gonna be sick.
So yeah, the monster is just your deepest, darkest fear, which kind of dampens the whole, oh my goodness, there's a crazed killer beast that will rip the cast of 30 down to 6 idea. And yeah, it's episode 6, and only one character has died, one is missing, there's still almost 30 people alive in this horror anime. Well, their backstories are pretty well done for the short showing, but does that mean we are now going to get backstories on every single character? How can they fit that into the remaining 6 episodes? But eventually they return to the village, and Koharun says she found an article that states a person named Masaki was reported missing years ago. So does that mean she might be a ghost? And to be honest, this episode is probably the weakest one in terms of craziness, and people were not happy. How come no one's dying yet? Some though were still enjoying this train wreck. But the standout moment of the entire anime was when Koharun runs back to the organizers expecting arms, however. This is hands down gotta be the funniest scene in any anime. The camera work, the timing, it's so perfect. And people had a field day with this betrayal. Now this is why it's a horror anime. So the MC falls off a cliff, doesn't die, unfortunately, but gets a flashback showing his twin brother who tripped and died, and the mother was so shocked she pretends the MC is now the dead twin, calling him by that name, and the dad is like, son, I know this is unhealthy, but just play along and pretend to be your brother for the rest of your life, okay? Masaki then finds him and says if you escape through the tunnel, you have to fight your demon, but this penguin throws hands and beats him up. Mind you, the horror vibes are really going out the window here as whimsical music is playing throughout this. The MC crawls away and finds himself back in the village, where the entire village think Masaki is a ghost that is luring them to their death. So they capture her and try to kill her to try to stop the madness. Rational people, right? Oh yeah, Koharun says no to killing her, and the organizer is like, Koharun, you should just go with the flow. Seriously, I swear. This includes the best friend who is finally happy he will have the MC to himself. But MC finally grows a pair and punches the bro. I swear, how can you not love this drama? But at the end, Masaki is like, okay, don't worry, I'll tell you everything. And the episode ends. Well, the roller coaster is back after that last episode, and people also noticed some things. Like, wait, they tried to restrain the bro from stabbing Masaki, yet they then restrained the MC from trying to stop the bro. Like, how does that make any rational sense? Oh yeah, this could be an animation error, but now there's 2 Koharuns. Is this a mistake, or is it actually part of the plot? Yes, at this point, people were debating whether she had a twin. Well, I mean, one already does. Did. Too soon? Also, it seems like people were starting to warm up to the MC again despite his weird... with the backstory like that, I sure can believe it. Well, Masaki tells all how she found the village a while ago with her cousin Reiji. Yes, not her boyfriend, so calm down, MC. But after he saw a monster she couldn't see, they ran away and she fell down a cliff and suddenly woke up on the highway like she teleported back. Now she only joins this group to try to find Reiji, but everyone is like, bro, that's so sus. Why is there still a newspaper article saying you're missing? And to be fair, she doesn't answer at all. So they try and kill her again, but now, dear viewer, guess what happens next? Do they A, actually kill her, B, MC freeze her and they escape, or C, the frickin' bus bursts through the gate and the driver tells him to get on and the bro jumps on as well, getting his shirt stuck on the door? I swear if any of you guessed that. So the group try to figure out how to stop the bus, which seems to be just indestructible now, while the driver begs Masaki, who he thinks is a ghost, to summon his dead daughter. Meanwhile, the big girl, Lion, and Sun all seem to be getting friendly with each other and are just having a nice chat by the river. Yeah, no worries of death here. Then the angry Zoot and Kohorun sneak away and get fired upon with arrows by, you guessed it, Eye Patch Dude. Yeah. He's not dead. Where did he get the arrows? Why is he attacking them? Will these two get to bang in peace? Find out next episode. Well, apart from the usual moaning of no deaths, I mean, one character just reappeared who you thought was dead. Turns out other places like 4chan and other sites were also discussing the show. I only focused on Reddit because that was the one place I checked at the time, but now someone linked some of the memes 4chan made. Some are quite disturbing with Lovepon, but others were quite funny, and these are some of my favorites. And well, some accounts started to roleplay. The death counter person, by the way, I said in episode 1, who posted the table each week, was starting to get annoyed at the lack of deaths by episode 8. And I swear, there were just so many big brain theories. It was starting to turn into a situation where surely there's no way the anime could surprise anyone anymore when the fans have thought of everything. Right? So Eye-Patch says he was rescued by someone who then told him to attack anyone who approached the tunnel. But before he says any more, someone knocks him out with an arrow. Meanwhile, the bus driver decided, screw it, I'm gonna drive through the tunnel just to see my daughter. And Masaki objects but doesn't say why. She is so evasive with everything, and frankly it was starting to get really annoying here. Well, the bus gets through and he sees his daughter, which causes them to both disappear. Okay then. The remaining three find it leads to a similar village where they see a message Reiji left for Masaki. She excuses herself to the bathroom and this idiot MC asks if he can join her. I'm so tired of this dude, I swear. The bro then tells the MC about his past and how his parents used him like a dress-up doll and would abuse him by locking him in the attic with a picture of his dead granny, and the only way he felt he could escape was to puppet someone else, that being the main character. So yeah, he's obsessive over him as controlling the MC meant he could get control in his life back. The MC is rightly annoyed at this and runs away, meeting the angry dude who both see their monsters. The MC's one is now very tiny and makes him chase after it over a cliff. And seemingly after that friend revelation, the MC has finally gotten over that name fear he had with his twin dead brother. Meanwhile, the three girls go to confront the tunnel, as since, well, she's a detective. And because of this, you know, in detectives in their shows, they have this thing, they either think with their brain there's an animation, or they have some ritual where they walk about, you know, to think of the big brain ideas. Hers is to hold her love handle on her stomach. I cannot make this up even if I tried. Well, the other Jack appears as he was the other archer, but a boy out of nowhere shoulder tackles him. And we see at the end the MC waking up in a hospital quoting Evangelion somehow. Sure. Why not? And with the anime winding down and the reveal seeming like the MC has escaped the place, the comments were way more tame here. Most people seem to have accepted, no deaths. This show is still okay though, and we still don't know how it will end, but I mean, who even cares at this point, right? It surely will be a safe ending, right? Don't fall for what I said before, because now the MC is in the hospital with his dad in the real world, who is sorry for making him act like the twin, but the MC is like, no, I can't come home, Dad. There's something I have to do. Okay, son, whatever you say. The MC then gets a letter to go to the roof of the hospital at 2 AM, and who does he see there? Yotsun. The one apparent dead character is here, alive, saying how he was saved by God, who turns out to be an old man who is a professor researching the village. Did you really think the anime would be normal now? So the three girls are saved by Reiji, who is that mysterious guy who shoulder checked Jack, and he and the professor tell the groups how the village preys on the people's darkest secrets, forming their Nanaki, and only by facing them can they return to the real world. They also house your emotion, and in that village, since they are split from you, you begin to feel lethargic if you don't do anything about it, which we then see happen to the main group. The professor is actually a young man, but since he saw his Nanaki and didn't confront it normally, he escaped, which just teleports you outside the village, but his body aged as a side effect. And back when Yotsun disappeared, he just ran off seeing his parents and accepting them, so instead of drowning, teleported back to the real world and was saved by the professor. Yeah, I don't think the characters are gonna kill each other now. Well, the Jacks apologize to their boss for failing, and it turns out to be Koharun. Yep, the NTR girl herself. I mean, come on, this is why she had a twin. This is an evil twin, right? Man, people were so confused by this episode, or it made perfect sense. Either way, these reveals are some of the funniest things ever. And of course, the biggest loser was the person making the death chart. Guess it was all for nothing, huh? So, second last episode, the group return to find the rest of them lazing about because they haven't confronted their Nanaki. The big girl explains the whole problem, while the Jacks start firing flame arrows at the building for some reason. Then they somehow take two of them hostage, where they reveal the boss's plan is to create the ultimate life form, Nanaki. And the boss herself is manipulating the bro, telling him that Masaki is stealing your puppet away, taking away your control, trying to grow his fear. And also the bus driver accepts his daughter's death, and the MC tries to re-enter the village but can't because he got over that twin brother's fear. You can't enter the village if you don't have any fears. However, out of nowhere, I've been saying that a lot, the bus driver bursts through, then agrees to take him and Yotsun back to the village while they carry a walkie-talkie linked to the professor. Oh yeah, the driver's daughter is here? Kinda like a fake her that can talk to them but then disappears after telling the MC that Reiji is Masaki's Nanaki. You got that? And then Yotsun and the driver disappear, and the MC has to drive the bus by himself. Just like in them video games, am I right? Meanwhile, Glasses and Love Point capture Masaki and try to kill her again. But out of nowhere, the MC drives his bus right through, and holy crap. I swear it looked like he ran over his crush. Now that would have been the best finale to this anime with all the twists. But no, he just missed. He gets out and literally says, "Gee, I sure hope that went well. You know, me crashing into a tree and almost killing someone." Only to turn around and see a gloriously beautiful CGI monster. Yay, one more episode, no death run, here we go. And everyone seems to agree that they thought he hit Masaki and that would have been the greatest plot twist ever. People were then worried about how this will all end in one more episode. People then compared Nanaki's to Persona 4. People started to accept that the no deaths was actually the best plot twist to Copium. Unlike the death chart person who was so annoyed, they came back after a week off and made up a death of every character. Man, these comments are just the best thing, I swear. Well, I hope you two have been enjoying this ride, because onto the final episode. So it turns out the monster is Bro's Nanaki, his granny, which has also trapped the MC's penguin. And yes, Love Pond calls the thing agorable. I'm not making this up. So he grabs MC, but MC fights back saying, "I don't want to be a puppet. I want to be your equal, your friend." But Koharun talks her twisted words, sending the monster into a frenzy. Guess Love Pond will get a taste of her own medicine. So they run away while Koharun finds the walkie-talkie and talks to the old man, who turns out to be Dad? What? As she was trying to stop the aging process on him by creating a super powerful Nanaki, since he didn't defeat his own normally. But he's like, kiddo, I got no emotions due to that event. I can see things more clearly now. Don't worry about it. And also like to point out, there was one shot in the first episode that had the bus drive past an empty window. Turns out Koharun drugged her dad, so he fell asleep and couldn't stop the bus entering the village. So yeah, they planned this all from the beginning. Yes, the entire story was planned. There was no last minute plot twist or writing changes. Take that for what it's worth. Meanwhile, the bro faces his Nanaki and both disappear. Reiji comes back and MC goes to help Masaki confront him, as Reiji was actually her imaginary friend she had as a kid and fell in love with. So yeah, she loves herself. So yes, MC, you have no chance. So they both disappear, and the villagers, I could not believe this, only half confront their Nanaki and leave, while some of them stay in the village. I mean, sure, some of you have nowhere to return to since you burnt your bridges, but you want to stay here of all places? And who even are you? I swear half these characters I still don't know anything about them. The big guy, the MILF, like what is the actual point of having 30 characters you have to pay voice actors for? Well, the people who get to leave go on the bus, sing that hippopotamus song you forgot they sang in episode 1 I told you to remember, and stuff up the lyrics, and I kid you not, the final line is Love Porn saying, "Let's execute them," for messing up the lyrics. I swear they know how dumb this thing was. And that was Mayoiga the Lost Village, a literal 4 out of 10 anime, a 10 out of 10 if you have other people discussing it. And that's what everyone agreed after that episode. There's no way you could have enjoyed this without the discussions online. It made the whole experience actually fun. We all experienced this train wreck together. We were there at the start, we predicted what it would be, every episode having some twist, causing more theories, and in the end, not a single person in the world could have predicted this storyline. We expected a bloodbath, but got a free therapy session instead. It's really quite amazing looking back because from what I could remember and find, none of the staff explicitly said this anime would be a killing show of any sort. All we got was horror and mystery in the tags, and I mean the most horrific thing was the CGI. An NTR. But then you have to wonder why they would create 30 characters and hype it up, even crowdfund part of it. It really feels like they knew they were baiting people with death that would generate interest. However, I really enjoyed my time with the show. Even on the rewatch, checking the comments after each episode, I don't think I've ever enjoyed watching a weekly anime more than I have with this one. It was a once in a lifetime experience, man. And yeah, don't worry about the plot threads, like how the girls freed themselves from Jax and tied both of them up, how the heck they kept meeting up with people with all these tunnels and this giant forest area when some areas seem to be blocked off, and what the heck that exploding basketball meant when the MC has never mentioned basketball and never does in the whole show. Someone even found a quote from the director in 2005 where he equated laughter to horror. Maybe that's why they added the comedy tag to the show after it ended. All I'll say is that if you still want to watch this, because I've left out a lot of bits, make sure it's in a group because you will sure be in for one heck of a ride. And even to this day, the anime lives on in people's minds. A new show which has Mayoiga in the title is releasing soon, and people are like, hey, anyone else remember that weird show? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this extensive look into an anime I've always wanted to show people, and we too can confront our Nanaki and maybe get the girl. Probably not. I don't know. She doesn't seem to care much. Might even sidestep us. So yeah, in the end, was the Lost Village actually good?
This show ain't no good.